Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is a fun day. I'm in the kitchen and I'm making a dish which is kind of nostalgic. It is called Mexican casserole. So as you can see, I kind of have all my ingredients lined up and I will walk you through more about what it is and how I make it as we go through the process. So this is a layered casserole dish. Basically, you layer it with tortilla shells and a meat and some veggies and cheeses. My mom used to make it with ground beef. I'm using chicken. I'm going to flavor the chicken with some salsa. I'm also adding a red bell pepper. She never added that. I don't think I ate a red bell pepper until I was in my late 20s. I don't know why. I think my mom maybe thought this was a spicy or exotic vegetable, but we just didn't have any growing up. Oh, another twist is you layer it with some cream of chicken soup, and then on top of that, some mozzarella cheese. Again, I don't know why she used mozzarella, but it's what I grew up with, and it does taste pretty good. And the cool thing about this casserole is you can play around with it and mix and match and add different things. If you don't like mozzarella, you could try a cheddar. If you like beef, you could do that instead of chicken. You could probably even use pork. So yeah, there's just a lot of flexibility to it, and I haven't made it in quite a while. So let's get into getting this chicken cooked, and I am going to use the Instant Pot because it is super fast, and I think it will help keep the chicken, you know, well flavored, not dry out. I am going to be cooking probably a little bit more than I need, but I figure I'll just keep the extra for future recipes. Okay, so let's check out this chicken. It smells really good, guys. Let's see how tender this chicken is. Oh yeah, it is falling apart. Now, this may be a little too much liquid. I learned a trick on the interwebs, which I'm a little dubious about, but it involves using a blender to shred the chicken. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully it won't splash everywhere. Hey, it's working! That is awesome! I know you couldn't see that very well. Check it out! Look how awesome that is! I hate shredding chicken. Now I'm not going to shred it anymore because I don't want it to turn into mush. Yay! I'm so glad that worked. Okay. So this is still quite liquidy. So while the chicken was cooking, I went ahead and prepped some other things. I got the pepper chopped. I went ahead and greased this Pyrex dish, lined it with the shells, and then covered it with the refried beans. Oh yes, this is the cream of chicken soup, the corn, which I forgot to have out earlier. And let me go grab the cheese. I put it back in the fridge so it would stay cold. So the other thing that precipitated, or should I say inspired, this recipe was my desire to clean out our refrigerator. Part of this idea came from wanting to use up these different salsas that I had. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna cook off the salsas and some chicken and put it into a Mexican casserole. So that's partly where this recipe came from. Okay, so now that we have all the components ready, I'm just gonna go ahead and layer. So editing Jody here, and yes, I did have to end up straining the meat because it was just too watery. So as you can see, I'm just scooping it out of the Instant Pot, putting it into a strainer, dripping off a lot of the excess water, and then putting it into the casserole dish. Okay, so now we have our chicken spread out. I'm gonna put some red bell pepper, and I like it a little bit chunkier, bigger bites. I think it's flavorful that way. So I'm gonna try not to overflow it with too much of the toppings. And then we do some sweet corn, which I think will be a really good balance with the spiciness of the chicken. Season as you go. Just a little splattering of salt, pepper. Now the kind of the crazy part. This is what made it signature Mexican casserole in the Lindstrom house. You layer on cream of chicken soup. Now I use the Whole Foods brand, not the classic Campbell's, which we all grew up on. First of all, this is gluten-free, and we're a gluten-free house. Campbell's is not. And the Campbell's was a little bit thicker. It seems to be a little thinner, but it shouldn't affect the taste too much, I don't think. Good. And that seemed to use up a whole package, which is nice. And then last but not least, the mozzarella cheese. I'm gonna use what I had open already first. Now my mom used to use this like flat slices, but I like to use shredded. I think it melts a little bit easier. Okay, and there you have it. It's all ready for the oven. So what I'm going to do next is just cover this with some tin foil, and I will bake it off tonight for dinner. It's only about 3 in the afternoon here. We typically eat closer to 7. This should just probably go in like a 325-degree oven for probably half an hour. Basically everything's cooked through. You just want to get the cheese melted, get it all heated through. I will probably cover it for the first 10-12 minutes, maybe 15, and then uncover it so the cheese can get kind of nice and bubbly, and so we will see what it's like tonight. Okay, here we are, just out of the oven, still bubbling. Yummy goodness. I'm gonna let this sit for a minute before I cut into it, and then we will have a taste test. Editing Jody here again. So as you can see, I'm cutting into this, and it actually was probably a little runnier than I wanted it to be. I maybe should have let this sit for a little bit longer, but we were hungry for dinner, so I just went in and went for it. Did you finish your dinner? Huh? Let's see. Yes, you did. Good boy. Well, as you can tell from my empty bowl, that was delish. A little bit on the spicy side, but that's good because I like spicy. Thanks for hanging out in the kitchen with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to reference this recipe for yourself, you can check out the link put in the description below. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye.